Good morning. Today we are going to talk about evaluation, its purposes, and its basis. But before we dig deeper to our topic, let's define what is evaluation. The term evaluation generally applies to the process of making a value judgment. In education, the term evaluation is used in reference to operations associated to curricula, programs, interventions, methods of teaching, and organizational factors. But according to Benjamin Samuel Bloom, he was an American educational psychologist who made contributions to the classification of educational objectives and to the theory of mastery learning. He defined evaluation as the systematic collections of evidence to determine whether in fact certain changes are taking place in the learner as well as to determine the amount or degree of change in individual students. Benjamin wanted to prove that evaluation is a process for us to gather evidence to prove our claim that the students learn something or did not learn something from our discussion at the end of the day. There are two aspects of evaluation that can be gleaned from this definition. We have the quantitative and the qualitative. Let's differentiate the two. Quantitative refers to the gathering of data on students' learning in terms of scores in a test. On the other hand, qualitative refers to the judgment as to the acceptability or non-acceptability of the learning level based on present standards. The first one, or the quantitative, referred to as measurement. The second one refers to the valuation. Based on the table that we have here right now, measurements involves evidence or the learning outcome. We have the test or other measures, and we have the scores, which refers to the quantitative or the numbers. Valuation includes the judgment or the level of acceptability, whether it's acceptable or not. We have the standard, norm, or criterion, and we have the decision, which refers to the qualitative or the quality of the performance of the student. Now, let's proceed to the purposes of evaluation. Since we already know what evaluation is, let's talk about purposes of evaluation. Why do we use evaluation? Why there is a need of evaluation? So, according to the book Curriculum Development System, it was a second edition. Author is Jesus C. Palma. We have six purposes of evaluation. There was six perspective. We have the learner's perspective, teacher's perspective, supervisor's perspective. We have the curriculum task force, parents' perspective, as well as the administrator's perspective. But let's talk about one by one. Let's start from the learner's perspective. We would like to be assured that the learners have mastered the lessons and that he or she is ready to tackle the next one. It means that it is very important that we conduct evaluation at the end of our class or at the end of the discussion for us to assess whether the students learned something or there was a major change in terms of learning. And if that is not the case, then we can give like sort of remediation or remedial classes, or maybe we can adjust our teaching techniques because maybe that's not it does not really met the need of students. And also if the majority of the class who have not met the criterion of mastery, then we would need to have some sort of reteaching. On or from the teacher's perspective, evaluation helps the teacher make a judgment whether he has taught effectively or not. Questions like what has gone wrong, was the objective too much, or did he use the appropriate means in terms of methods and or materials of, of instructions, or what can be improved in the future. Evaluation would help the teachers assess themselves whether their teaching techniques are effective or not. From the supervisor's perspective, a teacher who shows a pattern of ineffective teaching as revealed by the evaluation may need more help through supervision or in-service training. This would give as well the supervisor's idea whether the teacher is, you know, uh, effective or not. That's why we have this in-service training or inset. We have seminars. We have some teaching webinars as well for us to help our teachers improve their teaching skills or their teaching techniques and provide them more options for them to improve themselves. From the parents perspective, I know most of you guys or some of us here or some of you guys are already parents and would relate as well to this. Although that I am not yet a parent, but I was able to tutor my nephews regarding their modules. So keeping parents abreast of the results of evaluation will give them an idea as to the type and intensity of intervention or help their children needs at home in their homework assignment and private study. At least parents will be aware where to put their selves or what specific area they should focus themselves to teach their students. Example, their child or their children is not that very good in English. At least if they're aware that that is the case, they can focus more on teaching their son or daughter the English so that they can improve their grades or they can improve their class standing. From the perspective of the curriculum task force, the evaluation results give a picture of how the students are coping with the learning content of curriculum. Um, it may also like indicate aspects of the curriculum that needs revision in relation to its appropriateness for the level and readiness of the students to cope with it. Curriculum task force may make some revisions or maybe they can change the entire curriculum as well if that specific is not that very good or not helping at all. All right, let's talk about the last perspective from the administrator's perspective. Evaluation provides solid data on which administrative decision can be firmed up as to the promotion, retention, and even separation of students in school. I was able to work in a private school and administrator decides whether the teacher should stay or should be promoted. That depends on the evaluation being conducted at the end of the year. Students will need to provide their answers like a survey form, and teachers or administrators will need to to observe teachers' performance on a demo teaching. And then after that, they need to decide if teachers will be promoted or they need to let go of that teacher. Um, these are also some of the purposes of the evaluation, like check effectiveness to determine the relative effectiveness of the program in terms of students' behavioral output. That would fall as well to students' perspective. Also, improve decision making, like we can make reliable decisions about educational planning, and also continuous improvement of plan at least to us we can ascertain the worth of time energy and resources invested in the program. We can also use evaluation to track improvements, to identify students' growth or lack of growth in acquiring desirable knowledge, skills, attitude, and societal values, and to progress towards objectives. For us as well to help teachers determine the effectiveness of their teaching techniques, administrator to see whether teachers are still effective or not, and the curriculum task force whether they need to revise or make some revision with the curriculum. So those are the purposes of evaluation. Although there's still a lot that we did not discuss or I did not include here, but those are the most common purposes of evaluation. All right, now let's talk about basis of evaluation. Questions like how do we evaluate students or how do we evaluate teachers? Or what do you consider to evaluate students or what do you consider to evaluate teachers? Those are questions that would fall under the basis of evaluation. There would be two for students and teachers. Let's talk about for teachers. Various components of proper planning can be evaluated. For example, use of assessment information for proper planning. Also, observation of the teacher performance can be done using open-ended questions such as inputs for observation and feedback. Um, there are actually a lot of ways for us teachers can be evaluated. We can use online quantitative and qualitative mediums such as surveys, polls, focus group, and etc. In this way, we can check the effectiveness or if it's ineffective or if it's extremely effective or there's still scope for improvement. Compliance of the teachers can be audited as well. This survey can contain multiple choice questions. Also, the school culture and management performance can also be evaluated. Um, Other basis of evaluation, like instructional delivery, this may include quality, amount, and level of classroom instruction, like course planning, including development of course materials, course revision, development of new courses. This would fall as well grading and assessment students' learning. This includes appropriate level of assignment, exams, grading standards. Course management, including supervision of GSIS,